Oh, hamstring. Up. Sniper, take the other picture.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you can formulate opinions without having true facts.
I'm telling you, think about it logically for just a second.
Dear Reds fans.
Welcome back to the Zebra Zillionaires. It was a tough one yesterday.
Live from Chatterbox Sports Studios, it's Off the Bench with Tom Brenneman.
Good morning, and a pleasant good Friday morning. We're just about set for 2024, but still a number of days. Good ones, we hope and pray. Here in 2023, we welcome you to Off the Bench, presented by our good friends at United Dairy Farmers. I'm Tom Brenneman. We come your way Monday through Friday, 10 to 12. That's Eastern time. You can find us on YouTube, Chatterbox Sports page. We also broadcast live on X. That's C-Box Sports. If you'd rather download us in podcast form, by all means, just search Off the Bench with Tom Brenneman, and you're dialed in. Casey, good morning.
Good morning,
Struggling
Tom.
a little bit today. Wrong stream.
Yeah, wrong stream.
Our guys are wearing the blue jerseys.
That's right.
Don't go to the guys in white.
Yeah, we're not doing the HBO show yet, so gotta get ready for Off the Bench.
HBO show. What does that mean?
Yeah, Box Lunch. The HBO show. The members only stream.
That's coming up today at noon.
That's right.
Where you're the host on Fridays, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, we just usually play Quiplash anyways, so it's not that big of a show.
Okay. Zebra, Reed, good morning, men.
How you doing? Morning, Tom.
How we looking?
Looking great, huh? Once again, the haircut looks fantastic.
Big league pullover you got going there.
Yeah, you like that?
I do.
Casey normally wears this, but yeah, I thought I'd sport it today.
Zebra's got the new puppies there.
Yeah, it's just, new pair of shoes.
Is that
still.
a new sweatshirt?
No, again, I have a lot of sweatshirts. This one's not new. I just haven't worn it really to the show, but it is a different sweatshirt.
Looks nice. Looks bright.
Those are big-time sweatshirts, Champion.
I do like the Champion brand.
Yeah, they're the best.
I do like the Champion brand. That's the first store I go to when I go to the Kenwood Mall.
It's
the very first store.
What do you mean at first store? They have a store at the mall?
Yeah.
Champion?
Champions, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Champion's wild because, 20 years ago, everything Champion was, the cheapest thing you could get out there. Now it's like a fashion statement, so it's they're super expensive now just because it became kind of a trendy thing to wear Champion gear.
I didn't know it was trendy. I just think they make the best sweatshirt.
They do.
Best hoodies.
They do.
Best hoodies going. No doubt. Well, regular sweatshirt even without a hoodie. Whatever. Look, let's tell it like it is. That's our MO here on Off the Bench. Sunday's game, whatever word you want to use. Huge. Massive. Season defining. However you want to put it or say it, that is a simple fact. If the Bengals can win at Kansas City on Sunday afternoon, they will head to the season finale with more than a legitimate chance to reach the playoffs for a third consecutive year. They lose, phone it in. Casey, the words you said about the Bengals, spell the word for me. It's only 3 letters, not 4. The dictionary might say 4, but we say 3. What are they?
D-U-N done?
D-U-N done. You and Elliott spelled that word just 4 weeks ago. Now, we know Cam Taylor-Britt will be back. That's huge. But what about star receiver Jamar Chase? Now, he was on the practice field yesterday. Does that mean he's good to go with that badly injured shoulder? He doesn't know for sure. Therefore, we don't know for sure. He certainly is trending in that direction. But we still have a little more than 48 hours before they have to decide one way or the other for sure. Chase has had monster games against Kansas City. The last 4, 30 receptions, nearly 500 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Now, yesterday, he was pretty complimentary towards his opponent. Yet he sprinkled in a little trash talk, saying, Chiefs can't cover him. They can't cover T. Higgins one-on-one. Take it to the bank. The Chiefs heard all about it, all about those comments, the old bulletin board stuff, if you buy it or not. Kickoff 4:25 on CBS Sunday. Charlie Goldsmith from Cincinnati.com joins us at 10:30 to talk about this matchup. Then there are the Brownies.
They look terrible, don't they, Tom?
America's team, Tom.
You know what? If there is a team, it's America's team.
That's right.
Disgusting.
It's
right.
the Brownies.
That's
That's
disgusting.
right, Tom.
True. Ultimate underdog.
I was
Never
hot-
won a Super Bowl.
Nope.
Never played in a Super Bowl.
I
Nope.
don't think they have.
Now, in the old days, back when Paul Brown was there, that kind of thing, right?
They've won
Championships.
NFL championships.
Right,
yeah,
before the merger.
Sure.
But look, their season, look, you don't want to give them credit. You don't want to like them because they're Cleveland. That's fine. I still maintain they're our brethren in the Buckeye State. And I always will. But last night, they went 37-20 over the New York Football Jets. 6 weeks ago, Joe Flacco was hanging out at home, raising his kids with his wife. Gets a phone call, thinking, all right, why not? Right? Good payday, back half of the season. Let's see how it goes. Well, last night, he became the first quarterback ever to throw for 250 or more yards while throwing for multiple touchdowns in his first 5 games with a new organization. In fact, Flacco last night threw for almost 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in the first half alone. The win clinches a playoff spot for the Browns for just the 3rd time since 1999. America's team. Not Michigan,
Michigan's America's team.
not Dallas, the
Reds?
Brownies.
What about the Cincinnati Reds?
Might be the Reds
No.
too. We share it. We'll share it. We'll share it.
Nope, it's the Brownies.
Tom, it'll be the first time Joe Flacco will play in a playoff game since what year?
2000 and I'm going to guess around 18.
14.
Wow.
Back when Joe Burrow was a junior in high school.
How about that? You get the big league stuff here on Off the Bench. That's a big league note. Other games that Bengal fans will certainly keep an eye on over the weekend. Steelers are in Seattle. Houston hosts Tennessee. Buffalo at home to New England. The Raiders visit Indianapolis. The best game of the weekend, really 2 really good ones, but the best pits the top 2 teams in the AFC, number 1 seed, potentially on the line, when Baltimore hosts Miami. And it's great because the Bengals play the back end of the doubleheader, and we'll get the early game here in Cincinnati. So that's a 1 o'clock kick. Big league game. College football, bowl season in full swing tonight. The mighty Ohio State University Buckeyes, ranked number 7 in the country, playing the Cotton Bowl against number 9 Missouri. Devin Brown, his first career start at quarterback for Ohio State. Gator Bowl, Clemson against Kentucky. Notre Dame faces Oregon State in the Sun Bowl. After a full slate of games over the weekend, it's the college football playoff semifinals on Monday. 4:30 Eastern, Michigan v. Alabama. Why isn't anybody playing this thing up like they did in the old days when Florida State played Notre Dame? And the mightier than now Notre Dame fans had that convicts against the, clerics or whatever they had going on.
Yeah.
There, right?
Yeah.
That's what this game is. The nightcap has Texas against Washington. The winners play for the national championship a week from Monday. College Hoops, UC plays its final non-conference game tonight. 10-2 Evansville. This is no pushover. They come rolling in, 7 o'clock tip. After tonight, it will be 7 straight games for UC, its first year in the Big 12, against teams that are currently ranked in the top 30 in the country. The next 7 straight. Miami plays Wilberforce. Now, I was going to ask if any of you knew anything about Wilberforce. Apparently, it's a primarily African-American school in Wilberforce, Ohio. And you knew all about it, so I wasn't going to waste our time asking about it.
Yeah, I didn't know about it till a couple years ago. We live streamed a basketball camp at Wilberforce University. That NBA player that's from Dayton, I forget his name, but he had a little basketball camp, and we live streamed it. It's only 500 students. It's not. I don't think it's in the NCAA. I think it's NAIA. So yeah, very, 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 very small school. That's all I know about it. I had no clue it existed till I literally drove up on its campus the day of. So
Nice place.
Sure. It's not. I don't know what to say. Sure.
You know what? It's where dreams come true for
That's
a lot
right.
of young men and women.
That's right.
So it's a great place. That game for Miami and Wilberforce is at Millett Hall tonight. I am sure the crowd for that game. I mean to tell you, stop the bus. Right?
Miami always plays terrible, like small school. They played a team that played in Bluffton's league last year. They played Defiance. That's a tiny school too. How do you get these teams on your schedule? Why do you play these games?
The fighting Travis Steels. Number 8, Kentucky hosts Illinois State at Rupp Arena tonight. Xavier doesn't play again until Wednesday at Villanova. And in the NBA, isn't there a part of you that seriously, your heart bleeds a little bit for the Detroit Pistons? They led the Celtics last night by 20 and then got beat in overtime, 128-122. That means the Pistons have lost a single-season NBA record. They keep building on it every game. 28 straight. They can break the all-time record. That's including where you carry over one season into the next season with their next loss. That is tough.
They're on pace to have the worst record in the NBA's history. They're on pace to have the worst record this century. The worst record in the MLB this century was the 2003 Detroit Tigers. And the worst record in the NFL this century was the 0-16 Detroit Lions. The worst record in the NHL this century was the 2019 Detroit Red Wings. A lot of winning going up there in Detroit.
It's hard to believe you would ever affiliate any losing seasons with the Detroit Red Wings. Not necessarily with the Tigers or the Pistons or the Lions, but yeah.
The city's also won 3 championships this century. So
yes, baseball, twice in hockey.
Twice in hockey, once in basketball. They have not won in baseball.
Oh, that's right. Tigers got beaten in the World Series that year. That's right. Okay, boys. We got Charlie Goldsmith coming up at 10:30. We have Coach Kyle Caskey to really dive in for a little while. This matchup with Kansas City. You know, it seems like we've said this. It almost feels like we've said it all year. We haven't said it all year because, you know, games in week 4 or week 6 or week 7, they're not like, you know, the must-win games. But let's face it. After the Bengals started the year at 0-2 this year, everybody around here is in a state of panic, right? Burrow's hurt. They needed a win. They beat the Rams. Okay, then they lose again, and now they got to get it going. They win 4 straight, and you're thinking, okay, here we go. Then all of a sudden Burrow goes down, and now every week since has subsequently felt like this is one you got to win. Now, 3 weeks ago, if we'd have said you look at the final 4 games of the year, Minnesota, Steelers, Kansas City, Cleveland. If someone would have said to you, you go 3-1, you'd have taken it all day, every day.
No doubt.
You'd have taken that.
No doubt.
But you were probably leaning towards the one being at Kansas City.
Toughest one.
All right, the one now is off the board. The stinking Steelers, right? Men of aluminum,
Right.
who look like the ultimate form of kryptonite against the Bengals. Now, all of a sudden, here we are. And, Casey, much to my chagrin, I have to tell you, I asked you this morning, you know, give me a prediction, Case. How you feeling? And you said, you know, I think the Bengals are.
Oh, I didn't say they were.
What did you say?
done. I just said
I
that.
said, give me a prediction. What did you say? Don't hem and haw around it. What did you say?
I said that I thought they would lose.
Okay. That's all I wanted to hear.
It
Most
feels
of
like
our
there's
viewers
too
cannot
much.
believe it.
I feel like there's just too much hope that this Chiefs team is on the decline. I guess Reed has really just rubbed off on me. I just can't doubt the Chiefs. I mean, I see
big
what's
Chiefs
in front of me, and Reed tells me they're still a really good football team, and I tend to believe that. Now, I still think that I don't think they lose by a lot. I don't think the spread is a fair estimate of how the game will go. I think it was actually going to be a pretty close game. But in the end, I don't know if they can get it done. It's simple as that. I don't know if they can get it done.
It's sad to see a fan like you.
You know what it is?
Because, you come in here and you cheer up the Bengals when they're doing good. But when they're doing bad, you kill them. You just absolutely kill them. It sounds like a bandwagon fan to me.
Not killing them.
You're killing them.
How am I killing them?
You said yesterday I'm not going to kill them, and then you proceeded to kill every aspect of the
That's exactly right.
you did. That's what you did, Casey.
That's not exactly what I said. What I said was
This is
I
supposed
don't
to-
want to do that, but
this-
I have to do that.
This is supposed to be an unbiased program, and you're the most biased of them all. And it's sad to see, Casey.
The sad part is the bandwagon. And that's the sad part.
What is
The
that?
way
Hang
you
on.
have-
What is that
you
even?
started the year on the bandwagon.
No.
You kind of put one foot on the ground,
Yeah.
but it was still moving. It's kind of like when you jump on a streetcar. You can keep you can jump on that thing, hold on, one foot's kind of, and you either pick it off or you just jump off before it gets going too fast. You put the foot on the ground. Then all of a sudden you were back on. You jump off. You go back on, and now you're 2 blocks back. Off again.
I mean, I could still cheer and love the Bengals team just as much as any other fan, but I could be realistic and say they don't have a great chance of winning this ball game.
He's trying to be objective.
I'm just trying to be as objective as possible.
Casey over there gives unbiased takes. Unlike you, Tom, unlike Elliot, Casey gives unbiased takes. Out of everyone in this room, Casey's the most objective when it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals.
He is.
Everyone that watches this show knows that to be true.
I mean, when the man's own bride is defending him in the chat, she knows it. She's around him in his darkest moments, curled up in a puddle of white liquor after another L. And Alexandria has to jump on today. To call Casey a bandwagon fan is a ridiculous take.
He's not a bandwagon fan. He's just objective, Tom.
His own father-in-law is now defending him in the chat. I mean, what in the hell is
what do you
going
want
on
from
here?
Tom,
This
what do
is
you want from me?
unbelievable.
What do you want from
Your
me? Do you want me to be?
father-in-law
You want
is
me to
even
be
on
reasonable?
here.
Do you want me to be reasonable, or do you want me to be the homer all the time? What do you want me to be?
When it comes to the Bengals, I just want you to be what we've counted on you being for a year and a half since the existence and the beginning of this show.
Well, that would be a realistic Bengals fan then. An objective Bengals fan.
Tom, do you think the Bengals are going to beat the Chiefs?
I do.
What gives you that suspicion?
It's just one of those. It's taken me a little longer to get to this feeling about this game than it did the Jacksonville game. Because even after that last Steelers game, the first Steelers game, I thought they'd show up in Jacksonville and beat that team.
That's right.
Now, beating Jacksonville is one thing. Beating Kansas City is an entirely different thing. Because Jacksonville has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, much to Reed Mouse's opinion, to be one of the ultimate frauds in recent history. Agreed, Elliot?
I agree.
They were, 8-3 when we went into Duval, and Robert Griffin III jumped into that pool. They were 8-3. They have not won a game since. So we broke the Jagwash. The Bengals broke the Jagwash. I don't know what else to say. Listen, the thing about this game against the Chiefs is the Bengals winning it would just fit right in line with the roller coaster that this season has been. You come in, Joe Burrow's going to be good enough to play week 1, and they look terrible for the first 4 weeks. Then they roar back, look like the best team in National Football League for the next 4 weeks. And you're like, all right, Bengals are all the way back. We're going to win a Super Bowl. It's all back on. Let's start talking about the 1 seed. Let's win the division. Then Joe Burrow gets hurt. Season's done. And what about this Jake Browning guy? He's going to play against the Steelers. They don't look too good. What are you talking about? Jake Browning's terrible. Then they rattle off 3 straight wins. Right back in it.
All against potential playoff teams.
Jake Browning looks like the greatest quarterback that the world has ever seen.
Well, on this side of Joe Flacco.
And we're like, all right, we're going to make the postseason. Let's just win 2 of the last 3 games. This Steelers team is terrible. Let's go in, give ourselves an early Christmas present and win. They get boat raced. All right, season's dead. DUN done. then they'll go to Kansas City and win this game. That
You
would just
and
fit in
I,
line
Reed,
with
are
the
the
roller
only
coaster.
two people in this room who did not spell that word in regard to the Bengals season. No matter what has happened through that roller coaster that you just described, there are only two people in this room that spelled that word. The two that did not are you and me.
That's right. Listen, you and me are the most optimistic people in this room, day in and day
No
out.
doubt.
Even if they lose this game, I know you said in their monologue the season's DUN done. I'm going to hold out a little hope that they can get in at 9-8.
No. I'm not after that. That's the end of the rope. It's the end of the rope.
We need like three teams to lose this week, so we'll keep it alive. Just keep the hopes alive, Tom. Always keep it alive. It makes it a lot easier for the Chiefs.
I really think what's going to happen is they're going to win this game, they being the Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to win this week.
You do?
And then they are going to lose to the Browns when the Browns have nothing to play for and aren't playing any of the starters.
Who's the backup for the Browns?
I think it's Dorian Thompson Robinson.
DTR. I don't even think that's what happens, to be honest with you. I think what happens is the guy that I defended all offseason, Geno Smith, and that Seattle Seahawks team that I said was a pretty damn good team. They lose the Steelers, and then subsequently the Ravens rest their starters because they would have beaten the Dolphins this week and then subsequently win that game. And I think
Which would
it'll
be
be
the
out.
number one seed.
Yeah, and then it'll be out of the Bengals' hands at that point.
What
I think will happen.
If the Ravens lock up the number one seed, then they might play next week because they don't want to take 2 weeks off.
Correct.
So the Ravens, if they lock it up, they still might play next week, at least a half, right? Because you don't want to take completely 2 weeks off.
Well, they have to. They're going to play this week. They have to play this week against the Dolphins.
He was right. He was saying, though, after this week, if you sat everybody down next week, you have
the bye week. I get what you're saying.
Right. Come on, Casey.
I got what you're saying.
Come on. Good to have Mr. Gaggins back with us today. Let's see. Which Zach Taylor will we get? Andrew Heidelberg, legitimate question. I mean, I'm going to
How
ask
can
this.
we not
I'm gonna
give
ask
Zach
this in
Taylor
serious-
credit? How can we not give Zach Taylor
I
credit
have
for
given
this season?
Zach Taylor a ton of credit. But let me ask you a serious question. We'll ask Charlie Goldsmith this question in a matter of minutes because James Rapine brought it up yesterday, and I almost got sick here on the set. Sick to my stomach in front of the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, that are watching this intergalactically on a daily basis.
We're 23 minutes in. This is the goofiest show. The show's ever been, Tom.
Intergalactically.
Is that a word?
I think
Sure,
so.
yeah.
I think you got it. I think you nailed it.
All right.
Throughout galaxies.
That's right. That's exactly right. But the government's still covering the whole thing up. We know that. But at any rate, where was I going? If through all this nonsense, I can't even remember where I was going. I want to talk
You're talking about the trick play.
but in all seriousness, when you come into this game, you really do have nothing to lose. I agree with what James said yesterday that the pressure is clearly on the Chiefs. They got a lot going on. They just got a lot happening. And it is not the happiest of times right now in Kansas City over their football team. They're going to go to the playoffs. They're going to win their division. They're going to get a first game at home. And then after that, they're going to have to go on the road if they advance for the first time ever in the postseason for the Patrick Mahomes during the Patrick Mahomes era. So whether or not they can go on the road, beat people in the playoffs, that's a long ways down the road. We'll get to that when we get to it. But if you're Zach Taylor, and let's just assume for a second you have Jamar Chase, because I think it's starting to look that way. Now, Ian Rappaport, among others, is saying he ain't playing.
Right.
Now, I don't know. I've never understood how guys like Ian Rappaport, and God bless him, good for him. He's been on his game for a long time. How do those guys get scoops like that? And this happens in every sport. This isn't a knock on those that cover the Bengals right now, whether it's for Cincinnati.com or, James Rapine or anybody else. I've always marveled at how the national guys tend to get some of this information ahead of the guys that are literally pouring their blood, sweat, and tears into showing up down at Paycor every day.
Yeah, we literally had James Rapine on yesterday saying Jamar Chase wants to play. He's going to play. He's looking good to play. And then Ian Rappaport posts, he's not going to play.
Mm-hmm.
I will never understand. I'm with you, Tom. I don't get it.
I've never understood it. And I've been on both sides where I've been a local guy and I'll read something from some national guy about the team I'm working for. And then I've been the national guy where, we get something on a coach in a meeting, and you're like, God, why would he tell us that? Not the guys that are there every day, kind of, in the battle with him, so to speak. But if you're Zach Taylor, would you just let it all hang out tomorrow? Or, meaning, whether it's trick plays, whether it's anything you got, right, in the barrel, blast them all off. Give it a go. You got nothing to lose. Or are you going to keep everything really close to the vest? Because the Chiefs this season, if I'm not mistaken, Mahomes has thrown, 18 interceptions?
14, I believe.
It's like 16. I
Okay,
believe.
16. They've turned the ball over more than any team in the league. They've given it away a ton. The Bengals, as bad as their defense has been, they've hung their hat on the ability to take the football away from opposing defenses. Mm-hmm. The Chiefs lead the league in drops in their receivers. Mm-hmm. The Chiefs have Mahomes has the lowest completion percentage rate of all quarterbacks in the NFL, plays 20 yards down the field. Big plays down the field have killed the Bengals defense all year. So, Reed, are you playing close to the vest, or baby, let it all hang out? If you're you are Zach Taylor, right? And you look a lot like Zach Taylor.
Yeah, you do. Do I?
You do. Same resemblance you and Zach Taylor as I have with Drake. Go ahead.
You do look quite a bit like
we
Drake.
do.
I don't know if you let it all hang out. I mean, I think they've kind of opened up the playbook in recent weeks already. I mean, you said you about spit up your coffee when James Rapine said they should try some trick plays. Listen, at some point they got to work, right? Like, we've done it 3 times and they've gotten progressively worse as it's gone on. At one point, the trick play has to work, you'd assume. But listen, they've already opened up the playbook. I think it should be a little more simple, right? Hand the ball off. That's where it was. That's where we had the most success, was when we were handing the ball off with Jake Browning. We obviously got behind the 8 ball last week and had to sling it around the field. The first time we played the Steelers, didn't run the ball at all. So this is a team that doesn't, and the Chiefs, that give up a lot of yards on the ground. They're one of the best defenses in the league, but you can kind of gash them if you're physical enough. And that's the one thing the Bengals haven't been recently, is physical enough. So, yeah, I don't know if you let it all out. I think almost more you simplify it and do what worked. And that's hand the ball off, run the ball, run these little screen plays, and open things up to go downfield. You don't have to worry about TJ Watt in your backfield. And the Chiefs have guys that can get in your backfield, but now you can move Jake Browning out of the pocket, have him bootlegging and whatnot, scrambling around. So, yeah, I think you go back to what worked a couple weeks ago, and that is kind of run the ball, run the screen plays, and see if that can get some points on the board.
Could be tough sledding.
It could be very tough sledding. I would listen. Number one, you need to score points before the Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs are going to be able to play from behind. I don't. You look at that roster, and Patrick does not have anybody to throw to. He's got 2 guys, maybe. Maybe he has 2 guys. Travis Kelce's been having a down year. It's still a good year, but it's a down year for Travis Kelce. And Rashee Rice it has been at least a positive light in that offense. Other than that, they have absolutely nothing and nobody. They're dealing with injuries to Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Pacheco. We don't know which one we're going to get.
Yep.
It looks like Pacheco's not going to play, but Edwards-Helaire is dealing with a groin injury, so we might not see him either. Might be LaMichael Pirine. So they're going to have to they're going to have to throw the ball, and we got a bunch of guys on that team that can't catch a football at all. So Get some points on the board early. No trick plays. I don't want to see a single trick play. I don't want to see Drew Sample in my backfield. Get Drew Sample out somewhere on the line, and he can block and do whatever he does up front. But other than that, run a normal offense. If Andy Reid wants to throw a direct snap to the running back and have him hand it off to Patrick Mahomes, and they can all run around each other and do a somersault, whatever they want to do, they can go ahead and do it. But let's just run normal plays, Zach.
What's funny about this game, Tom, is it's similar in some capacity to the Steelers game, where this is an offense that's been mightily struggling, right?
Yep.
And the Bengals defense has been mightily struggling. It's not an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. It's very much a stoppable force meeting a movable object in the Bengals defense and the Chiefs offense. So is it going to be where the Bengals finally get right? Like, the defense, is it finally going to have a field day against a struggling offense? Or are we going to be more of the same of a team struggling to move the ball comes in and plays the Cincinnati Bengals and they throw it all over the field? Because I'm thinking it's probably going to be the latter at this point. In all seriousness, if I've seen Mason Rudolph throw for 350 yards, if I've seen Nick Mullins throw for 400 yards, and Kenny Pickett have a career day against this defense, now we do have Cam Taylor-Britt back more than likely.
Yep.
But I think it's going to be more of a. I think the Chiefs are going to be able to put some points on the board. Can we hang with them? Can we outpace them?
You know, Kelsey's not had a great year. He's getting older. Most of his pub lately seems to be coming from whom he's dating rather than how he's playing. It doesn't take away the fact that he is a Hall of Fame player, first ballot, lead pipe cinch. Strangely enough, he'll probably go down as the second greatest tight end in the history of football and the second greatest tight end in the history of the Kansas City Chiefs because Tony Gonzalez holds every record known to man. But is Charlie here yet?
No, not yet.
You know, when you look inside the number, the Bengals by far, and look, I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know. All of us, you know, we watch the same game, right? Week in and week out. The Bengals defense has the worst statistical numbers against tight ends of any team in the National Football League. And it is by a long shot. On targets, I think it's something like 82% of the time they hit the target when they're going for the tight end against this Bengals defense. Now, does that mean they took away Freiermuth last week? He had killed him the first game. They took him away last week. But
that's about all they took away.
That's all they took away. That's right.
I don't even know if they took him away. They were just throwing it to Pickens, so they didn't even throw it to Fryer.
That's right. I mean, when you're hitting 75 and 85 and 90-yard touchdown passes, what do you got to worry about it? But, you know, if you're Kelsey, you know what you're thinking. There's the rivalry part of this. There's everything going on in Kansas City. Last time he was seen, he's throwing a helmet, on the sideline. And he's thinking, I got to be ready to go. And I would think that is going to be priority number one. You mentioned the running backs. Some people have brought up in the chat about Jerick McKinnon. He's out. He's on IR.
Yep.
So he's done. So then we just went through the rest of the guys for you in order. Concussion protocol still is Pacheco. Edwards-Helaire and his situation with the leg injuries. So, I mean, it may not matter the way teams have run the ball to the tune of 127 yards per game against the Cincinnati defense. So it may not matter. Could be Joe Blow back there. Could be Elliott Rearing back there.
It could be.
And he goes for $115. Right?
Think you go for $115 against the Bengals?
Yeah, I think I could actually. I think I could. You give me 9 years to train, and
Let's do it.
And I'll run for 115 on the Bengals D.
Fair enough. Tom, the final thing I'll say is the Bengals have had success in stopping Travis Kelce, but I'm pretty sure Trey Flowers was always the guy that stopped these tight ends.
Yep.
Not on the team anymore, so tough sledding.
Tough sledding. Famous last words from your guy, Zach Taylor, against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was right, though. He knew what he was talking about. All right, let's get to our buddy, Charlie Goldsmith, Cincinnati.com. Charlie, here we are. A little more than, 51 hours, something like that, and counting for the big one Sunday in Kansas City. Looks like Cam Taylor-Britt is a go. What does your gut tell you? I know he's on the practice field yesterday. What's your gut tell you about Jamar Chase?
I think he goes. I think that I was already leaning towards that way, watching what he did on the practice field yesterday. And then, Sam, what he said, the edge and the chip he's bringing into this game. To me, that's not something Jamar Chase would do if he wasn't very confident. He said he'll be a game-time decision. He said he'll have to really see how he feels. But just the tone of the voice and the look in the eyes definitely gave you a strong impression.
It's funny how sometimes you can read something. I mean, it can be an email, it can be a text message, it can be an article. And when you read it, it is very different than actually hearing it. You were there when Jamar Chase is making some of these comments about the secondary with Kansas City. A lot of people are blowing this thing up. You were there. I mean, I didn't find anything he said being necessarily bulletin board material. In fact, I thought he was quite complimentary of the Chiefs and playing well against the Bengals. And yeah, this is their scheme, and that's the way they do it because I don't know how many teams do have a guy that you could play one-on-one all day against Chase or Higgins or a lot of other guys. Did you feel that way, or am I off base here?
The Chiefs have a great plan against the Bengals. You know what Jamar Chase mentioned was the tendencies they understand, the plan and the execution they have for making life so difficult for Jamar and T. Remember in the AFC title game, you know, those big plays they had were leaping contested catches over two guys. They had to earn so much. What I thought back to when I really heard Jamar Chase talk was kind of maybe some of the lingering frustration and, you know, what if Tyler Boyd didn't get hurt in that game. They were so dedicated to beating them on the outside. You know, Tyler Boyd said if I didn't get hurt with the thigh injury, Bengals would have won. The drive before he got hurt, or the drive that he got hurt, he had two huge catches over the middle where he toasted guys in coverage over the middle and led the Bengals down into the red zone. So that seemed to me to be a reflection on, yeah, they've done a great job taking us away, but it might not be that easy this time. It shouldn't have been that easy for them last time.
Reed brought up a minute ago, Trey Flowers has been around here the last couple of years, and while he exclusively wasn't following around Travis Kelce when the Bengals and Chiefs would get together, he certainly was an important factor. We talked about some of the numbers where opposing tight ends have had big games against the Bengals pretty much all year long. Not every game, but most games. A lot of success there. Who will be the person or persons that will try and take on that role against Kelce this week on the Bengal defense?
Two different things. There's early downs and then there's third downs. And so, like, real quick for the tight ends as a whole, yes, some tight ends have shredded them this year. But then, like, the Bengals set out to take away Pat Freiermuth last week. He didn't have a catch, but then George Pickens beat him. Like, this is a flawed Bengals defense that can try to take away a certain guy, but isn't quite in a spot where it can take away everybody. From a tight end perspective, stopping Kelce will be line one. Early downs, that's probably going to be aggressive coverages, starting with the linebackers, shading towards Kelce over the middle of the field, and then the safeties creeping down near where he is as well. And then Dax Hill has basically taken that Trey Flowers role. So on third downs and 2-minute situations, it'll be Dax versus Kelce one-on-one. You know, may the best man win over the middle of the field.
Well, we'll see how that plays out. I mean, normally Anarumo finds a way to do a really nice job. Kansas City has not put up big scoring games, even when their offense has been far more prolific. But in fairness, the Bengals defense personnel-wise has been a lot better than they are so far this year. You always come up with some numbers. You always come up with a lot of interesting nuggets. And everybody has their opinion about what's going to be important in this game. Here on a Friday, what are you looking at as the most important thing or two that there's a difference between winning and losing for the Bengals?
I'll go one on each side of the ball. The Bengals lost to the Steelers because Jake Browning didn't play well. And it went a lot deeper than just those 3 picks. Like some of the plays before the picks. He was late. He missed open guys. He had opportunities that the Bengals, or that really he just didn't capitalize on. That's not a recipe to win in the NFL when your quarterback's playing like that. Browning obviously has to be a different guy this week. The second thing is in-game adjustments. You know, the secret sauce to me against Patrick Mahomes over the years has been what the Bengals have done at halftime. And when when I really look at this Bengals defense, what's missing, what's changed, I look at how they haven't nipped things in the bud, how they've been beat by the same concepts, by the same types of plays multiple times over and over again. It feels like a tight end beats them or Pickens beat them down the sideline. Scramble plays against the Texans. They haven't had that success adjusting on the fly. You got to do that this week. It's kind of a make or break. Like Lou Anarumo said, the future is now for the Bengals defense. They have to be able to do these things if they want to stand a chance on Sunday.
All right, well, when you say that, and we were talking about it as it relates to Zach Taylor, was he going to let it all hang out? Because I think we all agree the Bengals have nothing to lose here. Yeah, I mean, lose, they'd be knocked out of the playoffs. But, I mean, look, nobody thinks they're going to win. Nobody thinks they can go to Arrowhead and beat Kansas City this week. Very few people think they're going to make the playoffs. So you're kind of playing with the proverbial house money. For Zach Taylor, calling plays. For Lou Anarumo, calling plays. Do you let it all hang out? And why not? Or because Kansas City's not scoring the way it used to score, they're turning the ball over with more frequency than they ever have before during the Mahomes era. Do you try to keep it a close, tight, conservative game and maybe, instead of a 27-24, it's a 20-17 or a 17-14 kind of game?
So this is the conversation the Bengals have every Saturday morning, the coordinators and Zach Taylor, right? What style of game is this going to be? And from a decision-making perspective, what are we expecting? And that shapes their fourth down decisions. That shapes whether or not they take the ball with the coin toss, stuff like that. I have a hard time betting on the Bengals defense right now, keeping the Chiefs below 20 points. Look at I know the Chiefs offense right now isn't what it's historically been, but what these games have always come down to also have been aggressive decisions, maximizing points and opportunities for touchdowns and aggressiveness on fourth downs. Like I always go back to 2022 or 2021, the last week of that second to last week of that season, where the Bengals could have went for the field goal, but instead they went for it on fourth down, kind of went for the kill, and then were able to run out the clock and kick the field goal at the gun. So with where the defense is and just the respect for Patrick Mahomes, I do get the sense this is going to be an aggressive style of game, expecting a lot of points.
Okay. All right. Are you in the anybody for Charlie before we let him roll? Or are you guys just sitting on your hands over there doing I don't know what, talking with Mr. Gaggins? What are we doing?
Tom, no, I don't have any questions for Charlie. Charlie, as always, thank you for coming on. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yes, indeed.
You too.
You have a prediction, Charles?
I'm taking the Chiefs 30-24. I think Mahomes is due, and I think that the Chiefs' defense, really, and their cornerbacks are going to be able to force a turnover or two, just like they've been doing all year against a lot of really good offenses.
All right. You have anything, Casey, or are you just, again, on the sidelines?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Off the bandwagon. Okay. Charlie, have a great rest of your weekend, my friend. Are you going to Kansas City when you traveling? Tomorrow?
I'm 6:45 tomorrow morning, bright and early.
Well, I'll see you at the airport. I'll be there bright and early
All right.
tomorrow morning. All right, buddy. Safe travels. I'm not going to Kansas City. I just love when you have games. And you're always thankful, no matter what city you live in, no matter what sport it is, when you get to, baseball, maybe it's the final month, right? Mm-hmm. Because you have so many games. In the NFL, you're down to the last 4 weeks, 3 weeks, now 2 weeks. And the team you root for still has a fighting chance, right? This is still the 4:30 game on CBS. I mean, this is a big deal. It's a big deal.
It is.
Listen,
Patrick Mahomes, it's Kelsey, it's Taylor. It's the first time the Bengals will be playing in front of Taylor. It's a big deal, Daddy.
I didn't know which
Why
Taylor
don't-
you
why
were
don't-
talking about.
I mean Taylor Swift.
why don't the Bengals show when the Bengals play? Why don't we show shots of Tanner Hudson's girlfriend like the Chiefs do? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure she's just as famous as Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Tom,
What would
this
be
Tom-
the Cincinnati equivalent if we were to have, through the years, what would be there is no equivalent because, Taylor Swift is Taylor Swift. Her
Right.
popularity, her success, blah, blah, blah. But if in the history of Cincinnati, is there someone out there, someone's wife, someone's girlfriend, someone's mom, who, could even pose any kind of rivalry through the years? Anybody?
to Taylor Swift's
Yes.
fame.
Yeah. No, not her fame, but I'm just saying that if you put her on TV because she's in some way, shape, or form connected to the Reds or the Bengals or FC, right?
Not sure.
Whoever. Anybody?
George
Bueller?
George Santos says maybe Marge Schott. I don't know about that. Tom,
Maybe one of the girls Charlie Sheen hangs out with.
back.
Carmen Electra was from Cincinnati.
She went to Princeton
How
High
about
School. That's a good point. That's
Okay.
a fair point.
There
So
you
that's
go.
a good one.
There you go.
Tom,
The one girl, Sarah Jessica Parker, Wyoming High School.
she's from really?
Yes, she is.
I didn't know that.
Cincinnati, born
didn't
and
know that.
raised.
About that.
Yes,
Didn't know that.
married, if I'm not mistaken, to Matthew Broderick,
That's right. I think that's right.
who was Bueller. Right?
Bueller. That was right.
How about that?
There you go. This shows
I
everyone.
mean,
This shows
rolling.
everyone today.
It really does. Has it all. This is like, what do they call that thing about degrees of separate? What is it?
6 degrees of separation.
We've just connected dots which nobody else could see.
Right. That's right. Only us. You're only getting that on Off the Bench with Tom Brenneman.
That's exactly. You're not getting that. That's right. Carmen Electra was actually, I don't know if she was married or whatever, dating Dennis Rodman at some time.
That's right.
Many, many years ago. So thank you for that reminder, Sean.
Halle Berry, I believe, was associated with Cincinnati, right? She was married to a Red.
David Justice.
That's right.
Not
David
a Red,
Justice.
but Covington Latin's very own David.
right.
They used to live up in Mount Adams. They had
That's
the
right.
sweetest crib up there.
Oh, that house is the best. Have you seen that house?
Yes,
Where'd
I
he go
have.
to college? David Justice. And here in the area, Thomas More.
That's exactly right.
Thomas More.
That's George Santos just can't help himself. I mean, he just can't help himself.
Catherine Webb. Catherine Webb. That's a good one. AJ McCarron.
We should do an MLB grid just because the show's so off the rails. Just do an MLB grid.
We're doing everything today. Let's get back to the Chiefs and the Bengals.
Good job. That was good. Do it
like
again.
that segue?
I think our chat likes the other better. Doris Day's from here.
Jessica Simpson, Nick Lachey.
Exactly right. Morgana, the Kissing Bandit, used to come to town. Lonnie Anderson, WKRP in Cincinnati.
Who?
You're going over our head now. I didn't watch WKRP.
Okay, go ahead. So you were starting to say.
Yeah.
I saw where you just typed in Jessica Simpson. I mean, Molly did. Forgive me. Go ahead.
Yeah, it wasn't me. Here's the thing about this game is both teams have had a disappointing season. There's no doubt about that. Obviously, all the injuries at the quarterback position for the Bengals have kind of derailed their year. And then what has come on over the last 8 weeks for the Kansas City Chiefs? They've lost, 5 of 7 games,
Yep.
5 of 8 games. So these teams are, without a doubt, they came into the year Super Bowl favorites, 2 of the 3 most best odds to win the Super Bowl, and they're having disappointing years. That being said, these are 2 teams that are still rivals. Going into this year, I mean, I remember watching the Kelsey podcast. Travis Kelsey was talking about how the biggest rival to the Kansas City Chiefs is the Cincinnati Bengals. And despite having all the disappointing things, this is still, as you mentioned, a big game. It's going to be at 4:30. Everyone's going to have their eyes glued to it because it has been such a big rivalry. It doesn't have the same panache without Joe Burrow on the field.
Yep.
It doesn't have the same panache with the Kansas City Chiefs scoring 6 points a game. But still, it's a rivalry game. These 2 teams don't like each other. They don't like each other. Out of the past 2 years, we've eliminated them once in the AFC Championship. They beat us once in the AFC Championship. So it still has that sting to it. And despite the Jamar Chase talking bull junk, talking a bunch of crap to the Kansas City Chiefs, it's still going to have that same sting whether or not he said that or not. So it's still, I don't know. I don't think either one of these teams are going into this taking the other team lightly, despite what they've done over the past few weeks.
No, I don't think so either. This is the game you circle on the calendar every single year for us, at least. I know we play in the AFC North. We've got a lot of rivals everywhere. Ravens, Steelers, Browns. Each one of those is a significant rivalry. But I do think there is something to having a rivalry outside of the division, and that, without question, is the Kansas City Chiefs for us. Now, we've been very successful against them in the regular season, at least as of late. So I think that's something to mark down a little bit. We have not played a Chiefs team that has been struggling quite like this before. That'll be interesting. We haven't played them without our quarterback and several key members on our defense and Jamar Chase. So we're dealing with a lot too. They're dealing with a lot. I think it's going to be a smash mouth football game. I don't think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be a low scoring game.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think Kansas City's putting up more than 24, and I certainly don't think the Bengals are either. So I think it's going to be a low scoring game. And we'll see who wins. I think the Bengals have a very good chance to win this game. I think 7 points is too many for the way Kansas City is playing right now. Again, I don't want to write too much into it against the Raiders because one-offs happen. It was cold. It was windy. There was a lot of factors in that game. But I don't know when the last time the Raiders beat Kansas City in Kansas City. And the fans were booing them at halftime.
Yeah.
I don't know when the last time that occurred either. So this is a banged-up Chiefs team. We'll see.
Well, they're calling for wind chills down in the teens.
Really?
Well, I mean, by the time you hit 4:30 in the afternoon, I think the high that day is right around freezing, a little above freezing, but it's going to drop off into the 20s quickly. Generally, you have a pretty decent, significant wind for whatever reason. It seems like in late afternoon or night games at Arrowhead, or Burrowhead, as Chase continues to say. You can't call it Burrowhead until you win your last game there.
Did they do that?
No, they did not. They lost in the AFC Championship game there last year.
So you're saying the most recent game?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to call it, if Burrow starts at quarterback, wins the game in Kansas City, you can refer to it as Burrowhead until the next time you play there. But the last time they played there, they got beat. It's not Burrowhead anymore.
Correct. It's Browning Head.
What?
I mean, what do you say to that? Sarah, what do you say to that?
I think it's an appropriate name. Browning Head fits very, very appropriately. Going from Burrowhead to Browning Head. I like that.
Tom,
Suits
are
well.
you at all worried?
I'm worried about getting through the next hour and 10 minutes. is
I am
what I'm
too.
most concerned
Tom,
about.
I am
That's
too.
what I'm really worried about.
Tom, are you at all worried whatsoever about this team that has been struggling, the Kansas City Chiefs, to move the ball, to score, just gashing the Cincinnati Bengals like the teams have done over the past 4 weeks? Are you all worried about that? Because everyone, like Elliot's like, he thinks they're going to win, like all these things. The only things that the Bengals have shown me consistently this year are that when a team is struggling offensively, they play the Cincinnati Bengals and boom, everything's fixed.
Yes, there have been moments in time this year, though, and it's even going back to early in the year where they found a way from time to time to play quite well. And so just knowing the track record of Anarumo, he's not going to be intimidated. I don't think the overwhelming majority of his players who have played in this game the last number of times they've played. Granted, first time they've played without Von Bell and Jesse Bates. We know that.
Right.
But the rest of this group, by and large, is not in. I think a lot of teams, up until here recently where they've lost 3 in a row, let's be honest about it. You know, when you went in the old days to play at New England, when you went to play in recent years at Arrowhead, there's a mystique, especially when you're not in their division. There's a mystique about going in there, Mahomes, the success, the Super Bowl titles, the Super Bowl runs, et cetera, et cetera. Teams, I think they can say they don't, but I think some teams can get a little, wow, that's Patrick Mahomes. Wow, that's, whoever it is, Kelsey, right? All these guys. The Bengals have never backed down to that challenge against this team. And I think that there's a significant number of guys that will be playing defense in this game for the Bengals that are not going to walk in any form or fashion intimidated by this team. So I think that means something. And I think you're starting to see it a little bit now with what has gone on in recent weeks against Kansas City, where teams that, like you talked to, the Raiders, they haven't won there forever. Now, granted, their offense did nothing against Kansas City's defense. But that was a team with a guy who hadn't coached 5 games in the NFL or 7 games in the NFL, right? With a backup quarterback. Mm-hmm. And they walked in there like they looked like they thought they had a chance to win. And I think you're starting to see some teams as they go in there to play them now that are like, hey, we respect them. We know who they are. We know what they've done. We know they got Hall of Famers, 2 of them, every time they snap the ball on that side of the football. But they're not the same. We've been saying that for weeks. So many turnovers, so few big plays, so many drop balls. Now mix in some injuries. Is it possible they go score 40 against this Bengal defense? Of course it's possible. But I don't think that the Bengals are walking in there on Sunday afternoon in the least bit not believing against this team. I don't know if they really believe when they play the Browns in Cleveland that they really think they're going to win. Or at least they certainly don't ever show up like they think they are.
Yeah, that's just a bad matchup.
You know what I mean?
That's a bad matchup for the Bengals. That's what we talked about earlier in this week. It's shown that when they play a physical team, they don't fit the bill. They don't fit the bill. Now, when they play a team that spreads it out, they typically play pretty well, and that's a Kansas City team. The only thing that I'm saying is if I'm a Kansas City Chief fan, which I'm not, but you guys accuse me of being.
Well, you've talked them up.
If I was a Kansas City Chiefs fan, seeing what this offense has been unable to do, seeing what the Chiefs have been unable to do, I'd be licking my chops getting ready to play the Cincinnati Bengals.
I got you.
Based off of what I've seen, every backup quarterback that plays this Bengals throws for 400 yards, 350 yards. So now you got Patrick Mahomes and you got a struggling offense, and you're going to get to play the Bengals. That's a beautiful. That's a get right game. This is a great opportunity for a get right game, and this is a Kansas City Chiefs team that were getting booed at their home stadium last week. They got embarrassed. in front of their home fans. Now, this is things that we talked about. It's kind of unraveling before our eyes. We're seeing the frustration with Travis Kelce, with Patrick Mahomes. We're seeing it before our eyes, and it's hard to kind of to calm that frustration. But yeah, if I'm a Chiefs fan, this is absolutely a game that I'm saying this is a team that's kind of had our number the past couple of years. 1-3. The Chiefs are 1-3 against the Bengals over the last 4 times that they've met. But this is a defense that every single quarterback that plays against it throws for 300-plus yards.
You're right.
And regardless of who plays running back, they're going to run it for 110 yards. So this is a beautiful opportunity for them to get right. So it's hard for me to comprehend that the Bengals, based off what I saw against the Steelers last week, the Bengals are going to go into Arrowhead and win the game. I pray I'm wrong. Would love to see this Bengals team make the postseason, and it starts this Saturday or Sunday. But I just can't see it. I can't see it.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. We got Kyle Kasky. He'll break down some in-depth matchup stuff. Did he send you some plays this morning?
He did.
Okay. We're going to walk through some plays to look ahead. We still have our picks for the weekend.
And a mailbag. And a mailbag.
Games. What's that?
And a mailbag.
Oh, we have a mailbag.
That's right.
Very excited about that. Fired up. And, of course, the Bucks tonight. I mean, come on. At the end of the day, we can talk about all these other nonsense games.
Oh, yeah.
We've got OHIO going at it tonight.
You watching that game tonight?
I dialed in. I've already told my dad we're supposed to get together with some family early because we couldn't get everybody together in a couple of, Christmas things. And I told my dad and his wife and my wife and our kids, I'm like, look, this has got to happen as early as possible. Because when 8 p. Eastern time comes around, Ella, Luke, and I, my wife doesn't give a damn, but Ella, Luke, and I will be dialed in to ESPN. The Devin Brown era begins tonight. Casey, take it away.
The Bengals Report is brought to you by Encore Technologies. Encore Technologies provides IT solutions for a data-centered world with the suite of services from mobile computing, desktop to data center, supporting both centralized and work-from-home computing modules to improve efficiency and
productivity.
Visit encore.tech. The path to innovation begins here. Let me tell you about this lovely bottle of water right here. Pawnee Water, made right here in Hamilton, Ohio.
Productivity.
Uses natural limestone filtration, unlike the artificial processing that other brands use, and that results in a healthy alkaline water, and some say the best tasting water in the world. Visit Pawnee Water at PAHHNI water.com. See where you can buy this great tasting water. Get your coffee from UDF. Bet on Betfred.
Or bet with.
Or bet with, whoever. And drink lots of Pawnee Water and get your technology solutions with Encore.
Drew Garrison, $5 super chat. Starting a quarterback who wears number 33 in a pointless bowl game against the Michigan State of the SEC. Hilarious stuff.
What a delightful dig that was, Drew. Thank you. Listen, guys, we've got about 168 people in the chat currently watching the stream. Please subscribe, like, do all the fun stuff. Let's get this show to as many people as possible, and it starts with a like. Also, we have our store up on chatterboxsports.com, so if you want to get some New Year's stuff, you can pick it there. And if you're a Leader of Men member, you actually get a discount on our store. So, something to think about.
By the way, we have
final show of the year.
Is it?
Yeah, final show of 2023. We'll do some best of the year moments next week with Tom out. But yeah, thank you for being here in 2023. Elliot, you were saying?
Oh, well, we have the Ever put it in the chat, and I do find it strange we haven't talked about it yet, but it's the college football playoff semifinals are coming up on Monday. Couple big matches. Who you got in those ones, Reed?
Michigan and Texas.
I don't think Washington has a chance. I think Washington's defense is close to not quite as bad as the Bengals, but very close. It's very close. I do think I like Jacobs' guy Milroe, right? That's his name.
Yep. Yeah, Jalen Milroe.
I like him.
Yeah, I like Alabama. I'm probably picking Texas as well, and I think I'm gonna pick just Alabama just because I want to root for Jacobs' team. But I don't know. I feel like it's Michigan's title to lose, to be honest with you.
Did I miss it? Did you guys bring up the Bill O'Reilly, Bill O'Brien, the Bill O'Brien story about Milroe?
No.
Did you see this story yesterday?
No, tell us about it.
You know, I mean, for those of you that may have read it. So remember now, Bill O'Brien was the head coach of the Houston Texans, right? Could never figure out about a quarterback. This big offensive guru guy, allegedly, right? Mm-hmm. Was with Brady for years and years there in New England before Josh Daniels came along, and off O'Brien went to Penn State initially, head coach of the Texans. Now he's back with Belichick in New England, right? And the whole Mac Jones thing has been a disaster. All of it. Their quarterbacks for the last couple of years, O'Brien's been, and I'm not blaming it all on O'Brien. But the story came out during all this media coverage of the college football playoff about O'Brien going to the Alabama quarterback a couple of years ago and saying, you know, you really need to change positions. How are we looking?
It's tough.
That's tough.
You think Urban would have done that?
No,
not a
Urban.
chance.
He just would have kicked the kicker.
Not a
He
chance.
would've kicked the kicker.
Not our guy, Urban.
Urban
All right,
kicks
let's
people.
get to our buddy, main man, down Louisiana, Big Bayou. He was here a couple weeks ago up at the Rain Dog Parade in Mount Adams, going to the Bengals games, kissing babies, shaking hands. Coach's Clicker every Tuesday, 5:30 right here on Chatterbox. Coach Kyle Caskey. Coach, how are you, my friend?
Hey, I'm good. You mentioned kissing babies and shaking hands this morning. I was playing with my 2-year-old, and he just knocked the fire out of me. So if I'm bleeding off my nose this morning, I apologize. I got beat up.
You know, it's funny you say that because a long time ago when our kids were really little, we're out playing putt-putt, my son, my daughter, and me. And my daughter might have been about 4 or 5. You know, she puts her ball in the hole, and, you know, everybody else's ball, it doesn't make any difference. She whirls around with one of those putters, and pow, right in my eye. I'm just gushing blood all over the place, whole 9 yards. She reminds me of that at least once every couple of months now. So join the club. Welcome to the club.
Hey,
all right,
here.
what do you think here? What do you think? Do they have a chance? The Bengals this Sunday in Kansas City.
Having a chance and being the NFL the way it is, I think are two different things. The way the Bengals played the other day, if they play anything like they did the other day, I don't think they have a chance. Now, if they come back to, say, 2 weeks ago, the Colts game, the way that they played with the guys they have that were playing at the time, and I mentioned, you know, being the collective group, that's the kind of stuff that you need to see from them on offense. Kansas City's defense is stout, and I know their secondaries had some issues and things, but I mean, they only gave up 3 points to Vegas the other day. Now, Vegas didn't throw the ball in the second half at all, literally, but the only thing that won that game for them, and I've got some clips here in a minute, is you talk about 15 points in 7 seconds on defense, and that included a 2-point conversion, but right now, I mean, the Bengals have got to get something going against that defense. And then, I mean, defensively, you just got to stop those broken plays. And I know everybody keeps talking about how the receivers aren't what they used to be, but it's the broken plays, the scramble drills. If they can stop those from happening and keep that kind of off schedule play from happening for Kansas City, they got a chance. But that's a lot to ask right now.
Well, okay. I know that you sent Casey some plays that we want to look at and talk about. So do you know where you're starting here, Casey, with Coach?
Fumble return.
Okay, fumble return. What are we talking about here, Coach?
So I heard y'all say, y'all were talking about trick plays earlier. Well, they were trying a trick play here. And, yeah, here's the thing. Sometimes you just get too cute. And this is kind of what the Bengals have gotten into. And, again, I'm not sure if this was going to be a handoff to Mahomes, because if you watch 17, the guy coming in that motion, he's kind of slowing down like he's about to be pitched the ball and then pass it. Because watch, Kelsey and them are running routes. I think this was going to be a handoff to Mahomes, a pitch to 17, and then a double pass, another pass. That's what I think this was going to be, and they just screwed up the handoff. And there's 7 points right there. That they might have gone for 2 on that one. So, but there's, either 7 or 8 points right there. I mean, right off the bat. And again, it's getting too tricky. So I would say you might not see as much of that versus the Bengals, just because they're probably going to say, listen, guys, let's just go win this game. Let's try not to be too tricky. This next play is the very next offensive play. So obviously they scored, so they kicked back off to Kansas City. I want you to watch. Mahomes has no pressure. He's going to roll to the right here. I want you to watch the guy number 2 here, not number 2, but the number 2 guy running kind of a corner route. If you can rewind that right there to the front, it's the guy lined up right inside the numbers, the number 2 receiver from the outside. He's wide open.
Wide open.
You know, and again, I don't know why Mahomes didn't see that, but you throw a pass right there into, you know, a corner that's just sitting there. Now, I think they were high-low in that guy, but again, I mean, he's coming open. You don't have any pressure. Keep rolling a little bit. Let it develop. And he just, because if you watch right here, like in all reality, it's just a naked. There's no pressure on him. So again, that's not Mahomes like, and I think that's something I guarantee he's going to watch and say, we can't allow that to happen again. I've got to have patience and try to get the ball to some guy, no matter who it is, just get the ball to him. This third one here, now this was a 3rd and 12. Okay, and you want to watch the receiver at the bottom of the screen. He's going to run kind of a little comeback here, and he's going to catch it at 11. Now, I think the receivers in the past for Kansas City would have known, you know, and again, the throw wasn't great. The throw was at 10, 11 yards too. So there's something off right now with Mahomes and his receivers that isn't normal right here because, again, that play right there should have converted. And, again, it didn't, and you know, it's one of those things where they're just a touch off, and that's, you know, that's not a big deal for, you know, people are going to go, well, that, you know, 3rd and 12, you don't convert very often, but when it's there, it's there. The championship teams that they've had have converted that. And then the last play I got on the Chiefs today, this was incomplete after review, but this was another interception at first. Watch number 83. It's going to be at the top of the screen. He's the guy outside running towards the sideline. See how he keeps going and then he doesn't come back. And that's when Mahomes is like, you saw it on the TV copy. He's like, keep coming. Because if you watch it from this angle, 83 is going to kind of run like a little wheel route here, you know, chip, and he's running like a little wheel route, and you'll see him scramble over here. This is where the big plays are made, and he's not coming back to the ball yet. You see him waiting for him. Most of the time they're tied in. Like if that was Kelsey, I think that play is not what it is. And again, you can see he's looking elsewhere. And then, I mean, like come back, because somebody come back, somebody get open. And that's where they're lacking right now on offense. I mean, I could have thrown out a bunch of defensive clips of them, you know, just trouncing the offense. But I think that's where right there, if the Bengals can, you know, take Kelsey out of the game, which teams are doing, they're double teaming him, sometimes triple teaming Kelsey, take him out of the game. Don't allow these broken plays to happen. And again, if you can keep Mahomes in the pocket, like that 3rd and 12 throw where he was throwing off his back foot and kind of getting hit, I mean, they can do that. Just cause him to be a little bit off schedule is not the word, because off schedule is where they're good. Get him off balance a little bit to where he's playing without, where he can't just be him and go out and run around and do these sidearm throws and things. Make him actually have to play quarterback in the pocket. And I don't think the receivers he has other than Kelsey can make it happen, and he's going to be doubled.
You know, I'm curious, and maybe, Coach, it's a combination of a lot of different things here. But look, when you just look at pure numbers, and then you go by the eyeball test of watching Kansas City, and it seems like every one of their games is a primetime game or a late afternoon, Sunday afternoon, so they're getting the big audience going coast to coast. Rightfully so. They've earned it. They're the defending Super Bowl champs. And Mahomes has been the best player in the league for the last 4 or 5 years now. But you know, when you look at their team, and we know all about the wide receiver situation, a lot of the drops, they let Tyreek Hill go. They've tried to plug it with Juju and some other guys here. The rookie's playing better at wide receiver, really, than any of the other guys they have there. Yep. Although on any given game, any of those guys is more than capable of having a good game. But is this just is this one of those, as you're going through the season week by week, and you've been in the locker room and on the sideline of NFL teams for many, many, many years, it's not that you say, gosh, we're just not the same, we're not going to fix it. But is there a feeling, an unspoken feeling in the room, in the locker room, where guys are looking around and they're just like, man, something just ain't right?
Yeah, that's real now. I mean, when you're – And frustrations are real too, because you're talking about a guy like you mentioned Kelsey earlier being probably the second best tight end in league history behind his own former, chief there, Antonio Gonzalez. And you got a guy in Mahomes who, in all reality, if he were to play at the level he's played at over time, could be one of the best quarterbacks in league history too. Now, when you go in those locker rooms and you've got younger guys that haven't maybe been a part of what they've been a part of, it's hard for them to understand that, listen, if we keep doing what we know how to do, we can still win. And Andy Reid hadn't forgotten how to coach. I do think Eric Bieniemy not being there, I think that has been a little bit of a detriment, because I think he's proven in Washington that he's taken a team that didn't have a whole lot of talent, had some speed at receiver, but not a whole lot of, experienced talent, and has done pretty well offensively. I don't think the offense in Washington has been the full problem there, but again, I think you take those creativity things that he brought to the table away from it. But Andy Reid hadn't forgot how to coach. I mean, they've got a great defense there. They just got to come together. The things they're doing on the sideline, throwing the helmets, yelling at each other, honestly, maybe Kelsey should tell Taylor to stay away for a couple games, just, hey, let me be me you go do your thing, go get your next Eras tour ready to go. And, let us focus on this for right now. And I'll see you when we get back into what we should be. But, again, and I'm not joking when I say that. I think there are distractions, because you got to think the highest security in that building is probably for her. It ain't for the rest of the people in there.
No doubt about that.
There's a lot of distraction with that.
There's no question. Anybody believes otherwise, they're just not paying attention to what's going on. All right, you got to make a prediction for us here, Coach. What do you think?
Yeah, y'all aren't going to like my prediction this week, but I do think it's going to be the Chiefs. I think it's going to be probably a not as high of a scoring game as probably people think. I'm thinking 24-17, somewhere in that range. If the Bengals, I'll tell you this, if the Bengals do run the ball and get a little game clock control going, that would help them out a ton, because the explosiveness of Kansas City, they don't need a whole lot of time to score. So the more you can keep them off the field and the fewer drives they have, obviously, I think that would help out a ton. But if they get to where it's pass, and it's, 3 and out, 5 and out, whatever it is, it might be a long day.
All right, buddy. Well, have a great weekend with your family. The final days here of 2023, and a Happy New Year, Coach. We appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. Happy New Year to all you guys out there and you guys there.
All right, buddy. Coach Kyle Caskey, he's going to be back coaching again. He's got to be. Somebody out there has got to bring that guy back in to coach again. Somebody does.
Yeah, certainly.
Got to.
Certainly.
The guy, he's still coaching high school football, but if I'm a college football coach or pro coach or whatever it might be, I'm going to get that guy, because he knows what he's talking about, knows what he's doing, and he's proven it. It's not like it's just some, government program giveaway here.
That's right.
There you go. $5,000, new phone, sweet hotel. Here you go. What?
That's right. Over under.
I digress.
Over under 38 yards. Farthest punt for Brad Robbins on Sunday. Over under.
Hammer the over.
Is there such a thing as that bet?
There is not. There is not.
You can bet on how.
There has to be in Vegas something like that. There has to be.
I didn't want to bring this up, Tom, but
of course you did.
You talk about the trick plays. How long until we see Brad Robbins run a little trickaroo?
Ooh, the Chiefs ran one of those. I forget their punter's name. He's got the long hair. But he ran,
Stroud. What's his name?
That was their best offensive play of the day when their punter threw a first down. So could be Brad Robbins throwing.
Brad Robbins, a little trickery. Who knows? Who knows?
We're close, Tom.
Listen,
if he throws
I think it would be Brad Robbins' trickery if he were to put a foot on one and boot it 50 yards and pin him inside the 10. That would be trickery.
Who do you think you've given more flack to? Brad Robbins or Charlie Jones?
He's a guy that's beat down Brad Robbins. And I have not beaten down Charlie Jones. I just like the nickname.
The one that you gave him?
Yes. Downtown Charlie Brown Jones.
Charlie Jones.
The fastest man east to west that's ever lived.
Charlie Jones, every punt return, runs about 50 yards. He gains about 4. He runs all over the field. All over it. Tom, what was your biggest takeaway from Coach Caskey's interview?
Well, I mean, he believes, that it's kind of like it's there for the taking. It sounds a lot like what you believe for Kansas City to get right. And there's reason to believe that. There's reason for them to get right. It's not like they got a bunch of stiffs in there. They've had guys drop a lot of balls, but I mean, still, some of these receivers are more than capable of making big plays in a game. Kelsey, I mean, would it surprise anybody if Kelsey went 11 for $180?
Nope.
Seriously. Right? So, teams have run the ball. Really doesn't matter who it is. Teams have run the ball successfully against this Bengals defense. But again, I think there's something about Anarumo, and it's in the mind of Mahomes and Reed. They know this guy, more than anybody else, has found a way to put together a good game plan, and then especially in the second half of games. They've been amazing against Mahomes.
I think it's also worth noting, and again, the Chiefs' defense is great. They've been great. They're arguably, what are they, top 3 defense in the league?
Second best scoring defense in the league.
Yep, 17 points a game.
So I will say this. When they had, I believe the Raiders, I believe his name was Zamir White. I could be wrong on that. I think that was the backup running back's name. It was a backup running back. Aiden O'Connell threw 1 completion in the second half of
That's
that
right.
game. 1 completion in 3/4 of that game. In the final drive of the game, the Raiders, or the Kansas City Chiefs defense, knew the Raiders weren't going to throw it. They knew it was going to be a running back up the middle every single time, and they couldn't stop it. He ran for, I think, 50 yards on that final drive to just milk out the clock, kill the Chiefs. I think that's of note too, because I do think, as again, they've been great all year. I just think there are ways to beat this Chiefs team. You beat them down, and you're going to win the game. Get a lead early, make them play from behind, make Patrick Mahomes play off his back foot, put the pressure on him, like Coach Caskey said. You're going to win the game. I think there's a good chance the Bengals win this game.
How important do you think turnovers are in this? I mean, they're important in every
That's
game.
the most important stat of anything. I mean, 90-something% of the time, you can look at well into the mid-90s, high 90s. You can look at a game. They're outliers.
Sure.
But most of the time, if that's the only stat you looked at, you'd be able to tell who the winner was and the loser was.
And the Bengals, best in the league, right? Turnover differential.
Yeah.
And Kansas City Chief, they give up the ball more than
A
pretty
lot.
much
A lot.
more than pretty much everybody else, anybody else in the National Football League.
26 turnovers. The Chiefs have only scored 36 touchdowns this season on offense. That's hard to believe. They've given up 30 touchdowns on defense. They've only scored 36 touchdowns.
That's incredible.
It's incredible. I looked it up this morning, and I thought, there's no way that's right. So I went and looked somewhere else. They have 1 return for a touchdown. They have 36 offensive touchdowns on the year. They have a total of 37 as a team in 15 games.
No defensive scores?
Not that I see. Well, a return could have been on defense. It just said return. Could have been on defense or in special teams.
That's absolutely
Fun fact, in the Joe Burrow era versus the Chiefs, whoever's won the turnover battle has won the game.
There you
go. Turnovers will be very important.
End of story. All right, are we ready to get to some picks?
Let's do it.
Let's pick it up.
Here we go. We got 5 pro games. We have 2 college games. The college football playoffs, since I'm not here the first 3 days next week. All right, we ready to go?
Yep, we're ready.
All right, let's do it. We begin with the college football playoff Monday afternoon. How in the world is this game? How in the world is this game not the primetime game?
I have no idea. That's crazy.
I mean, look, Washington, Texas, okay. But Alabama, Michigan.
It's just
Of course,
because
maybe
Texas,
you can make
right?
the argument that if you put these guys on at 4:30, you're going to do a monster rating, and no matter what you put on at 8 o'clock, it's going to do a monster rating.
Yeah, could it be because Washington's in the Pacific time zone?
Well, I think it's because of aren't they playing isn't Washington playing at the Rose Bowl? Is that where that game is?
No, Michigan, Alabama, because they've been at Disneyland.
Michigan, Alabama.
Oh, that's right. I see. I don't get it. I mean, why is Michigan playing Alabama at 1:30 in the afternoon in California?
Yeah, at the Rose Bowl.
That just doesn't make any sense.
if they played at 5, then you'd get the nice sunset
Yeah.
over there in LA. Yeah, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Well, I'm going to be curious what you have to think about this game because we get the whole Michigan cheating thing, but they've been damn good defensively.
Yes, they have.
All season long.
Yes, they have.
You can make a strong argument Alabama didn't deserve to be in. There's a strong argument to be had that Alabama did not deserve to be in this playoff. Again, we're not going to get into the whole Florida State thing, but again, they didn't look very good against Auburn if we're going to go by the eye test, which is how they graded Florida State. I think if you're, and I know our boss Trace Fowler loves Michigan. There's a lot of other people that the sharp gamblers love Michigan, but I still think Alabama, despite everything, I'm going to bet on Nick Saban here. I think Nick Saban wins this football game.
So you're taking the Tide.
I'm taking.
So,
I'm taking
Michigan
the Tide.
is a 2-point favorite in this game against the Crimson Tide.
That line changed a lot too. It was
Really?
I think it was two and a half. I think it started with Alabama or 2.
So
Really?
Alabama originally was the favorite.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, because I bet on it. I have the
You have the ticket.
I have the ticket where they were the favorite.
So you got in a wager with Alabama as the favorite.
That's right.
Wow.
It's not good for me.
Things might be turning in zebra land. Okay.
That's tough. Listen, Tom, when you look at the past 20 years or so of college football, the most dominant team has been the Michigan Wolverines. It's for that reason.
20 years?
Yeah, 20 years or so. When you think
Really?
about it. Yeah.
Really?
Michigan Wolverines. How can you tell the story of college football over the past 20 years without Michigan?
Well, I think you can make an argument on that, but I don't know about most successful the last 20. Go ahead.
Remember the Denard Robinson era when he was losing
I
his
do.
shoes?
I do remember Denard
Losing
Robinson.
his shoes every other play.
Siding cat.
That's right. Give me blue. Go blue. Go blue. You come to this side of the room for our college football takes. He's taking Alabama. I'm taking Michigan. Michigan's going to win it all.
Casey.
Yeah, I'm taking Michigan as well. I think the best defense in college football will show out and shut down Jalen Milroe. Simple as that.
Would you guys say the winner of this game wins it all?
I don't think so.
No. I don't.
You don't
Tom-
think
Not
so?
Tom-
necessarily.
Tom
I'm
loves the
big on
Huskies.
Washington.
He loves the Huskies.
Come on.
I'm not kidding you. They had the best offensive line in the country. We'll get to them in a minute.
Okay.
Well, let's save that.
All right.
I am going to take the Crimson Tide of Alabama, the fighting Nick Saban.
That's right.
Why do you think Alabama's going to win this game?
I
Tom?
just think it's Alabama. I think it's Alabama. I think it's Saban. I think that he won't come out and say it, although the story came out yesterday about the way they've handled their whole film thing and their signs and everything. I mean, he believes clearly that there is something to this Michigan deal. I mean, guy like Saban, he doesn't like when this kind of stuff's going on in college football. He doesn't like it. He is going to take it to him. Take it to him.
I think it's finally time for Harbaugh to win a championship.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me.
And it would be a swan song because the NCAA is going to come down hard and they're going to take it right back.
Bless you.
Thank you.
It'll just be.
That's exactly right. Rip down that banner. All right.
All right, moving on.
Here we go. Now, you guys asked me, so I'll start. Look. Neck and neck race between Ohio State and Washington for the best wide receiver room in the country. Their wide receivers are off the charts. Quarterback of the Final Four playing, without a doubt, the best player, Michael Penix Jr. There are other guys you like. Alabama guy's really good. Quinn Ewers is really good. McCarthy's really good. Michael Penix Jr. has been unbelievable. He was the only one of those 4 that are still standing that was in New York for the Heisman Trophy. He didn't win it, but he was the only one standing there. Offensive line, they just won the award 4 or 5 days ago. Best offensive line in the country, the Washington Huskies. I normally look down my nose at those in the Pac-12. But this has the making. This team beat Oregon twice. Mm-hmm. And Oregon was scoring 50 against everybody, right? This Washington team is for real. And for them to be what are they, a 3.5 point underdog?
4.5.
Vegas hates them.
All right, Vegas hates them. I love them. Casey, buy. Hit it. Buy. I'm buying Washington. Go.
He's taking the Huskies. Listen, seriously, Vegas has disrespected Washington all year long. That that Pac-12 championship game where they were 10-point underdogs against Oregon? 10-point underdogs, and they won outright? And now they're 4-point underdogs against Texas. Listen, when you look at college football as a whole over the past 23 years since the start of the new millennia, the most successful program over that time has been the Texas Longhorns. It's for that reason I got the Longhorns winning this game.
Wow. Fighting Quinn Ewers.
That's right.
I listen. As good as the offense is for Washington, I do believe that their defense is just as equally as bad. So they gave up 33 to Stanford. They gave up 28 to Utah, who's again just not an offensive team. Oregon scored 30 on them twice. Cal scored 30 on them. I go around their schedule here, and it's just been they're giving up 30 burgers to everybody. I think Texas. It's just going to come out to a shootout. It's going to be a good old-fashioned good one here. I'm going to take the shootout. I'm going to go with the Longhorns.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
Casey?
I really like the Longhorns. I've liked them all year round. I also think that there is a distinct disadvantage for Washington. I know you hyped up that offensive line, but Texas has got two great defensive interior guys. Ranked number 1 on PFF, T'Vondre Sweat. Number 2 is Byron Murphy, also a defensive lineman for Texas. So I'm going to take the Longhorns and that advantage there.
Well, then I feel very good about where I'll be sitting on Tuesday of next week. Go ahead.
All right, moving on. Titans versus Texans.
All right, now we're on to the pro front. Huge games. Most of these involve teams in games where the Bengal fans are going to be paying attention, including this one with the Texans. Same record as the Bengals. They own a tiebreak over the Bengals. All right, Reed, we start with you.
I had a take last year that Will Levis was legit. And he earned a starting spot in Tennessee, and he's played pretty well. I think the Tennessee Titans are going to beat the Texans in Houston. So I think they're going to cover the spread. I think they're going to win outright.
Is he going to play this week, though?
I don't know.
He didn't play last week.
No.
Yeah.
The fighting C.J. Strouds are playing.
Yeah, I'll take C.J. Stroud. If C.J. Stroud's healthy and he's ready to go, I'll take C.J.
Yeah, I'm also taking C.J. Stroud. That guy is going to torch this defense for the Titans. So that's easy pick for me.
I'm with you. I'm with the fighting C.J. Strouds.
And we need them to lose, right?
Texans are frauds, yeah.
We need the Texans to lose one more.
Okay.
Texans are frauds.
Texans don't play the Colts well, so that's
They don't play the
where
Titans well. You'll see on Sunday.
Who's playing quarterback?
Mayo boy.
Okay.
They're the Duke Mayo boy.
Who?
Duke Mayo boy.
Who?
Will Levis.
Duke Mayo boy?
Yeah,
Where did that come from?
He puts mayonnaise in his coffee. Have you ever put mayonnaise in your coffee, Tom?
I mean, unless it was like really late at night and I had somewhere to be. And maybe this is an accident, stumbling into UDF.
Yeah.
I was gonna say when you get your coffee from UDF, you don't go over the condiment
I
section.
miss
and
it. No.
Just put some Duke mayo.
No, I've
somewhere,
skipped that
all right.
part.
Don't
Thank
even
you.
boil it.
Thank you. Okay, what's next?
Lions versus Cowboys. Dallas favored by 5.5 points.
This is a good game. The Cowboys have been virtually unbeatable at home. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, they are unbeaten at home, I think. But, it's been pointed out, their speed tends to show up. Perfect weather, indoors, turf, whole 9 yards. Lions are an amazing story. They really are an amazing story. 11-4. 5.5 the spread. Zebra, we begin with you.
What is this, back-to-back fraud bowls for the Dallas Cowboys? Let's see how
Hold
many.
on. Miami's still in the fraud?
Yes, come on. Yes.
Two
they are
frauds
still,
don't make a for real, Tom.
That's right. That's right. They're absolutely still frauds. You'd be silly to say otherwise. The Dallas Cowboys are not winning this game. They're certainly not winning it by 6. I honestly forget who I picked for Casey's sake, but I'll tell you what. Why don't you flash it for me, Casey?
You can pick whoever.
I will take the Lions here to cover the spread.
5.5. It's a big spread. Listen, when you look at Tom's right. They have not lost a game at home. The Dallas Cowboys Undefeated. In fact, if you look at all their home games, they have blown out every single team they've played at home other than the Seattle Seahawks when they won by 6. Other than that, they've won by 20+ every single time. The spread is 5.5 for a reason, and that's because the Cowboys are at home. Give me the Dallas Cowboys to cover 5.5.
Yeah, I feel very similar to Reed in that the Dallas Cowboys are just a different team when they're at home. And I also think that Jared Goff is a little bit of a – I mean, if Brock Purdy isn't good, neither is Jared Goff, and he's going to get consumed under the pressure. So
no one said anything
Wait a
about
minute.
that.
I thought you were with me on Purdy.
I know. I am.
He's saying
Tom. I'm saying
it was a jab at us.
It was a jab at those guys.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm with you, Casey and Reed. I'm going with the fighting Jerry Jones.
Good
Big
luck to
D
him.
in Dallas.
Good
Big
luck
D.
to him.
Here we go. An important game here.
Tom, you ever met Jerry Jones?
Oh, yeah. I really like him.
You like Jerry Jones?
I do. I like him a lot. I do. I find him to be one of the most charismatic dudes I've ever been around in my life. I could just sit and listen to him for days. Tell stories. You can like him or hate him, but if you get around him. And I remember Tim McCarver told me years ago that he met Barack Obama. Now, I was not a big Obama fan as a politician.
Yeah, you don't like
but,
you don't like change.
Well, that's right. Either one. Hope and change, get rid of all of them. But he told me when he met him, he's like, dude, pretty charismatic cat.
Barry O?
Barry O.
Oh.
And that's Jerry Jones. You get around him, kind of like him. All right. This is a 3.5-point spread. Is this going to be Geno or is this going to be Locke? Does anybody know?
I think it's Geno.
It is Geno. Okay, go ahead. Reed Mouse.
I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are the worst team in the National Football League other than when they play Zach Taylor, Cincinnati Bengals. So give me the Seahawks.
I think the Steelers are legitimately a bad football team. They have 8 wins. They have a winning record. They'll probably finish with 9 wins on the year. I think the Steelers are legitimately bad. I think they have a decent defense that masks up the world's worst offense. Now, granted, they torched us.
Yeah, 34 points.
They torched our ass. But here's the thing. They're not going to do it again. Mason Rudolph's good for one of those for a lifetime, and he's unfortunately already used it. Seahawks are fighting for their playoff spot as well. I'm gonna take the fighting Pete Carrolls.
The fighting Pete Carrolls. You got to love that. Casey, what about you?
Just for the sake of the Cincinnati Bengals, I'm going to hope that the Seattle Seahawks win that ball game and destroy the Steelers and any chances that they have of making the playoffs. So I'm taking Seattle.
Okay, we're going to give Elliot a chance to change his pick because I'm going with the fighting Pete Carrolls as well. Elliot?
You know what? I'm not changing it. I'm not changing it this time.
Sprinkle the tough sledding.
I am not changing it this time. It's not tough sledding when you play Pittsburgh at home.
We're Seahawks across the board.
Yep.
We need
straight
this
across,
one.
full
Need
house.
this one. Pete Carroll.
Flush.
They need
Leader
a
men.
What if Russell Wilson goes to Seattle?
That's not happening. All
Would
right,
that be
go
a good
ahead.
fit?
That's not happening. Maybe the men of aluminum. Go ahead.
Ravens versus Dolphins. Baltimore favored by 3.5.
Big time game. Lots on the line here for this one. And make no mistake, both teams are going to show up and bring their A game in this one. This is a big time game.
That's right.
This is big boy football here in this game.
That's right.
Because this is for the number 1 seed, and you cannot put a price tag on that. Is it guaranteed you go to the Super Bowl? No. Would you take your chances if you're the Ravens? Freezing cold, snowing sideways, Lamar running around, tough sledding against that defense. Same with Miami. You know, I saw where Rex Ryan made the comment that he really believes that even, now it's very different in January than it is in September with the heat, obviously. But he thinks it's a big deal, Miami playing at home, and the other team, and their game is in, is drenched in the sun. Now, when you get to playoffs, maybe they play at night. Who knows? But I am all on board with the fighting John Harbaughs. I've been their number 1 supporter the entire year. I've said since the first week of the season they were the team to beat in the AFC if Lamar was healthy. I said it before the first game of the year. I stand by the fighting John Harbaughs.
Fair enough, Tom.
All right, I listen. I have called the Dolphins frauds all season long. All season long, I have called them frauds. If they could sneak out a win in Baltimore, I will rescind my opinion on the Miami Dolphins. As Tom says, they show up in their teal, and it just
Yeah, I know.
it just sparks fear into everybody. When you
Well,
got-
at home, it's not bad. But it's when you show up in all white, sprinkled with teal and orange in Buffalo.
Right. You show up in Bodymore Murderland, Baltimore. Wire reference there. You see that?
That was good.
Yeah, you like that?
That's
You
right.
Snuck that in there?
Big league show.
Yeah. I think the Baltimore Ravens will win this game. I think they're going to win. I think they're a much better team than the Miami Dolphins. I think they're the best team in the National Football League. They showed that against the 49ers. Give me Baltimore winning by 4.
Yeah, listen, I do think the Dolphins are frauds. I agree with Reed. If they win this game, I'll rescind it. I'll take it back. They can be legit. But I do think the Ravens win this game. Now, I will say this. The Dolphins are not only fighting for the 1 seed, they're also fighting for their division. If they win this, they win the division. So they're going to need to win it. They're playing for more. You could make the argument. Again, I'm not going to because I already picked the Ravens. But you can make the argument these are 2 hungry dogs, but one of them's a little bit more hungry. And that would be the Miami Dolphins because they are fighting for their division. But saying all that, I think the Ravens are the better team. They just blitzed a 49ers team that is a Super Bowl favorite. So I will take the Ravens.
Yeah, because they just blitzed the 49ers, I think that they think they're all high and mighty and the best team in the NFL.
Well, they
and
are.
I think they slip up. I think they give up a game to Miami when they shouldn't. It's going to
Wow.
be a back-and-forth shootout just like it was last year.
Yeah, great game.
And it was a great game. And I think that they cover. I don't know if they win. I won't go that far. I don't think that they might win, but I do think it'll be a back-and-forth type of game.
Casey, why do you hate the Ravens?
Why do I hate the Ravens?
Well, I know the story, but like you refuse to give up that the Ravens are good. You refuse to give them credit.
It's not that I won't give them credit. I think they're a good team. I just don't think they're the best team. I think that they're a little fraudy.
The Ravens,
What?
He's saying the Ravens are frauds, Tom.
fraudy? The Ravens?
Well, yeah, they show up in their purple. That doesn't spark
Yeah, that
fear in
doesn't
anybody.
spark fear in anyone.
It does.
Yes, it does.
It very much does.
Elder.
Yes, it does.
All right, moving on.
God.
Okay.
Bengals versus Chiefs.
Ugh.
Oh, boy. 7. That's a big number, boys. Casey, we've already tipped off, how you feel about your team.
Yeah.
So, with a spread, what are you doing?
Tom, I already told you this morning what I thought. I thought the Bengals would only lose by like 3 or 4. I think it's going to be a close game. So, yeah, I'm taking the Bengals here to cover by 7. That's an outrageous spread. What are we doing here?
I agree
Bengals
with
all the way.
I agree with Casey.
Why do we
It's-
think it's outrageous?
Well, because I don't think the Chiefs are 7-point favorites over pretty much. 80% of the league.
That's a great point. How
Cincinnati-
many teams would the Chiefs right now be favored against the way they're playing right now? How many teams in the NFL would they be favored by 7 or more points against right now?
Patriots, Panthers.
Well, if we're gonna talk about like what
That's
they've
it.
done in recent weeks, then the
Giants.
Bengals just lost by 23 to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who this show has time and time again. Just 5 minutes ago, we said they're a terrible team.
Well, you guys said they
we
were
also
terrible.
were 10-point underdogs to the Jaguars
Jaguars
in Jacksonville
when they were
And
8 and
we won.
3. When they were 8 and 3.
But I'm just saying, I think it's too big of a spread. Again, one-offs happen in the NFL. It's any given Sunday. Everybody knows this. I think 7 points is too many. I'm going with the Bengals as well. It's just too many points.
Is this Van Jones in the chat? The Van Jones from CNN? Is that the one watching our show all the time?
Yeah. That's where he gets his sports takes from this show. You are the target audience for people that watch CNN, Tom.
There's no doubt. Kay Adams. What? By the way, what is her? What's her tie to the Bengals?
She just likes
She
us. roots for us.
she was rooting for the Bengals back in 2021.
Okay.
When everyone else was talking about how this team's not really very good, she hyped us up. So that's why we like Kay Adams.
But she's really like all in on the Bengals. It seems like I'll see a clip here or there. I know.
She
Is
was
she
ruler
still on
of the
Good Morning
Jungle.
Football anymore, or what is
No,
she on?
she has her own show. She
Oh,
has
she
her own
does.
show. Up in Adams. Up in Adams.
That's
is
a
the-
good one.
That's
Up in
close.
Mount Adams.
Nice.
That's what it should be. All right, go ahead.
Big league spot. Listen, Tom, and Elliot and Casey, the Kansas City Chiefs are probably the best team in the AFC. When you look at them, when you watch what they play, when you've been able to see what they've been doing over the past 5 weeks, they play with such passion. You see it in the way that they throw their equipment around. You see it in the way that they talk to one another. I'm taking the Kansas City Chiefs to cover 7.
Okay, I'm taking the Bengals.
It's a good pick, Tom.
I've picked the Bengals every week for I don't know how long now. I may have picked them in every game this season.
Probably.
I have to go back and look at that.
That's all the picks we have today.
That's it.
Okay, that's it.
That's it.
Okay, that's it. We have about 20 minutes left in the show.
Mailbag.
We want to do that now?
Yeah, let's do it now. And we also have a cherry on top.
Yes, we do have a cherry on top, which is a good one today.
It's a 2-minute
All right,
one.
hit it. Roll it.
We just got a letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. I wonder who it's from.
I'll be singing that all the way into the new year. Forget Auld Lang Syne. We just got a letter. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, well, you asked who it's from, and this is who it's from. Today's mailbag comes from sweet little Marshall.
Marshall?
Sweet little Marshall from Mrs. Mather's class.
Oh, my God.
Marshall is a longtime Detroit sports fan and is very passionate about his city. His family hosts a weekly gun safety course to show the locals how to defend themselves during armed robberies. Him and his dad have been watching the Lions, Red Wings, and Pistons have losing seasons for decades. His mom even just bought him a Cade Cunningham jersey for Christmas. Marshall wants to know what will happen first. Detroit becomes a crime-free metropolis, or the Detroit Pistons win a basketball game. And it's a two-parter. He also wants to know, is this losing streak for the Detroit Pistons the worst embarrassment that a sports team can have? Losing 29 in a row.
No, the worst embarrassment a sports team can have is losing every game of a season, which is what their football team accomplished. Marshall's beloved Lions.
Lions, that's right.
Okay, beloved Lions.
Does Marshall's friend B Rabbit? Does he instruct the gun safety course?
No.
Eminem sucks.
Eminem's a good rapper. He
sucks.
thinks Eminem's bad.
Eminem's big leaguer.
Big leaguer.
Tom, what's your favorite Eminem? You kind of look like Eminem.
You do?
God.
Casey, get Eminem up there.
I mean, I can't look
Casey,
like
get Eminem.
Eminem and Drake at the same time.
Oh, yeah,
That'd
you
be
can.
a little hard.
yeah,
That'd
oh,
be
yeah, you
a
can.
little hard.
What's your favorite Eminem song, Tom?
I just know him when I hear him. I know him when I hear him.
Real Slim Shady?
Yeah, but Mark Fetter says that's what it would be, so I'll go with Mark. Mark normally is on his game. What? Go ahead.
I really think you look like him. I think it's uncanny.
Oh, God. Okay.
You were in
George
the music
Clooney,
video.
Eminem, Drake. I got it all going on. Yeah. The one that's still, the one I find myself now on the rare chances, and I do all I can to avoid looking in the mirror anymore on a regular basis. I don't know who it was in the chat, but I know it's somebody who's here today that said I was starting to look like, as I was getting so thin up top and so gray and long on the sides, that I was looking like the dude from The Sopranos, Paulie. That was not good. That's not nice. He just died.
Nice.
It's really not nice.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. So what's the answer to the question?
To answer your question, or to answer the question from Marshall. I think it's pretty bad. I don't think there's a whole lot worse you can do. I guess whatever the hell's going on in Oakland with the Athletics, that's pretty bad. But this is damn. If you lose 30 games in a row, what are you doing? Sports are supposed to be at least somewhat competitive, even if you're bad. If you're a bad team, you're still supposed to compete. And I guess you can argue they did last night against the Celtics when they were up 20-something and couldn't hold on to the lead. But at the end, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, if you're going to lose 30 games in a row and call yourself a serious franchise, you can't do it. It's impossible. So, shout out to the Pistons. That is the very worst thing you can do as a franchise: lose 30 in a row.
We have got some demented people in this chat.
Tom, today has been. It
really
this has been a troll day.
There
he is.
You look just like
that's Eminem.
Marshall Mathers.
We look a lot alike.
Do you have a cap?
The chat today has just been insane.
This show has been off the rails pretty much from the rip, and the chat has taken that energy and ran with it. Every single burner that has ever been created for this show has come out today.
Except for Leif Erickson. We
Leif
haven't seen
Erickson
Leif
has
yet.
not been out.
That's
Maybe we
not
can
a
see
burner.
Leif.
That's the real guy.
Yeah, maybe we can
You
see.
got to blow like a horn, and maybe he'll come.
Yeah, maybe we can see Leif. Before
I mean,
the
if
end of
you
the show.
just a snapshot of just like 4 or 5 in a row, boom, 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 boom,
Yep.
right?
Look at these.
You can go to Tom. Have you ever seen Blues Clues before? Okay,
Mr. Balls is
that's
here.
Tyler Dawley. Alex says, or Drew says, I would abandon my wife and my whole family forever just to have lunch with Kay Adams at a Golden Corral. Mark Fetter says Marshall sounds like a tool.
Tom, did you see the
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Did you see the super chat from Justin Edgel? He's been a member. He's been a leader of men for 3 months.
Yes, he has.
He says, "What's weirder, a third nut or a third nipple?" R.I.P. Bing. Love the show. A lot going on in that chat, Justin.
There's a lot going on.
All right, speaking of the chat, let's do some chat power rankings. Let's do some chat power rankings.
That's ridiculous. We're ending 2023 on just a ridiculous note.
Number 5. We're going to shake it up this week because I don't know who the hell's
This
who.
is a sad state of affairs.
This is sad.
It really is.
Number
We're a crash and burn at the
Number
end of
5,
the year.
it's Derby Stardom.
Can you spell Titanic?
You can spell it. Derby Stardom, you're number 5 this week. Congratulations, pal.
Derby.
Number 4, we got my boy. We got my boy Haro.
You don't have to hurry. We have 14 minutes left in this show.
Why are you running?
I'm just going through because we got the cherry on top's like 2 minutes. It's a 2-minute video. Derby Stardom's 5. We got 4. Who did I say? Haro. I love you. Number 3, we have Colton. It's Colton's birthday today. Would you like to sing Happy Birthday to Colton?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Colton. Happy birthday to you. Attaboy, thanks for coming on.
There we go. That bought us 30
right.
seconds. All right, next up.
Colton Melman.
Yeah.
Averaged near a double-double for the Baden Rams back in the day.
How about that?
Yeah. Go Rams.
Everett, you're number 2. I love my guy Everett. We still owe him a salmon-colored jacket at some point. I promised we'd get him one. Everett, I will find you one. I will find you one. Number 1 this week, it is, as Sean Connor Burner also calls, Superstar Mark Fetters. This is our guy, Mark Fetters.
Why are you guys high-fiving over
What do
there
you mean?
for Mark Fetters?
What do you mean? All right, that's it. That's it. Number 1, thank
That's
you,
not
Mark.
a high five.
That's just this
That's a
week.
low
Mouse Cop, again, you weren't really talkative this week. You were out of town. Sir Boy wasn't talkative this week a whole lot. There's a lot of people that weren't as talkative as they were. A lot of these burners. Maybe we'll have a burner ranking next week. Maybe that's what we'll do. We'll rank all the burners. I think that's a good idea. That's it. Chat power rankings.
Sean Connor wants to know why he wasn't in the chat. It wasn't in the chat power ranking.
Well, because Sean's not real. That's why. Because you're not a real person. You're a combination of Trace, Paul, and Nick Kirby. You're one of the 3.
Parker wants to know what in the world does he have to do to break into the top 5? And Yash, your good friend and mine, Yash, who
right.
watches from London.
Yash has to be on
It's
it.
Yash. Every single day, he says it is a straight-up popularity contest, Parker. I broke it once and haven't since.
This is not true. I just do it off the cuff. And again, I think of who is in the chat on that day, especially the last day is very much important, and that's who I picked.
Next week we will do chat of the year.
Chat of the year.
Chat member of the year.
We got to do like our top moments of the year too. Next
Yeah,
week.
we got a lot of time without Tom here.
So that's what we got to keep doing. Cherry on top, Casey. Let's run it.
Are we leaving?
We got 12 minutes. What are we doing?
We got cherry on top. I just want to run the cherry on top now. Cherry on top. Here we go.
What is going on?
Here we go. Cherry on top.
You have pirated this show. You've stolen this show.
Bloop.
Okay, you want to set the stage for this?
Yeah, so last night it was the Pop-Tart Bowl. It was between 2 teams. It was Kansas State and Texas Tech, I'm pretty sure. And basically, this was the most coveted bowl game you can get.
No, this was Kansas State and NC State.
Sorry, it's
Go
the
ahead.
same. Yeah, it's just, nobody watches these bowl games,
They're
but they
both
watched
states.
them last night. They watched them last night for this. This is the world's first edible mascot, Tom. As you see him right there, he wants to be eaten. He wants to go in that toaster and pop out a warm, moist
Careful.
Pop-Tart that everybody loves. I was careful. And here we go. He's going to pop out right here.
Okay. Is that Trevor Lawrence?
No, that's not Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
That's not Trevor Lawrence. And here we go. He popped out of the oven. And watch this. They are going to eat the world's first edible mascot. That mascot is now dead, and he is being eaten alive. Well, I guess he's dead, so eaten dead. There we go. Throw his corpse up into the people. This is the greatest bowl game in the history of college athletics. This is the greatest rivalry in the history of college athletics. Whoever plays in this game, they'll become rivals for life, and it's because of this Pop-Tart Bowl. Whatever they paid, I don't know how much they paid for this game, probably north of $10 million or something like that. I don't know how much these things cost. I imagine it was a lot of money. They got every dollar. Because I'm going to go, right after this show, I'm going to go buy a load of Pop-Tarts.
You got to admit, if you haven't had one for a while,
That's right. They're good,
they're
man.
mighty good, man. You drop them in a toaster there like that,
Ooh. What, you got a favorite?
blueberry.
You like blueberry?
Yeah, strawberry's good too.
Strawberry's good.
I never liked the what was the one, the dark, it was not chocolate.
S'mores and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I like the brown sugar cinnamon.
that's what I was thinking.
I love that
Yeah.
one. And I like the wild berry. It's the purple one. So it's the purple one, and it's the brown sugar cinnamon.
Not a big Pop-Tart guy.
Not a Pop-Tart
Not
guy.
a big Pop-Tart guy. Didn't like my Pop-Tarts that much. But if I did have one, I would like the s'mores.
Well, Drew wants to know, which is a very, very good point, because I have done this before. He said, have you ever, what's his name?
Drew P.
Say the whole thing, Tom?
Mr. Balls.
Have you ever put butter on the back of a toasted Pop-Tart?
Have you?
I have many times. That's big league.
That's a Family Guy reference too. Have you ever put butter on a Pop-Tart? It's so freaking good. Sorry.
That was good.
That's a Family Guy reference.
All right, so now what are we supposed to do since he is blown up?
He
with
commandeered
cherry
this
on top?
show.
No, he
He
didn't.
took
did.
that. It was just like that Tom Hanks movie. Elliot looked you right in the eye and said, "Hey, I'm the captain now. I'm
Hold
the
on,
captain."
hold on.
He did.
I'm coming up.
He's like Alexander Haig. I'm now in charge.
You know, we had another chat
That's
member
above
with a
your
birthday.
guys.
It's right
above
over my
all.
head. Right over.
We got
Right.
another what?
We had another chat member with a birthday.
Who else had a birthday?
Megan Cleary, someone that doesn't comment a whole lot.
Megan, happy birthday.
Is that a burner?
No, it's not a burner. It's a real person.
Well, we know Sharon is back. We know Molly is back. So who is this?
Megan Cleary. I know her. I actually know this person, and she just chimed in. Said it was her birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Megan.
Happy birthday indeed, Megan. Hope you have a great day and a great weekend. Birthdays this time of year are tough. I was at a dinner last night. I told you my wife 2 days ago on the 27th had a birthday. And then we went out to dinner with two other couples last night. And strangely enough, we have 6 people sitting together. 4 of the 6 have had birthdays consecutive days this week.
What?
That's crazy.
27, 28, 29, 30. 4 of the 6 sitting at the table last night.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Tom,
And by the way, real quick, we got a new updated chat power ranking. So here we go. Number 5.
Updated?
Number 5.
Why updated?
Well, they didn't like the other one, so we're gonna do another one. This is the second one. This is another chat power ranking. Shout out to everybody. Number 5.
He's just completely took over this.
Number 5, we have Drew Garrison. This is my guy. We'll see you in about 8 minutes. Quiplash time. If you're not a member, you want to be a member because it's very, very fun. On Fridays, we play a game. The whole chat's involved. It's very fun. Drew, number 4 or 5. Sorry. Here we go. Number 4.
Whatever that is, it's tired.
Number 4. We got Yash.
Whatever it is.
Yash, the world's biggest soccer fan.
Yash.
This is
Yash.
my guy. This is my guy. He gives me a ton of parlays every single week. I love him. So he says I don't love him. I love him. The chat loves you, Yash. Everybody loves you. The whole world loves you. And this is proof. Number 4, Yash. Boom.
Yash.
Number 3. Here we go. Number 3. We got Alex Wallace. Sometimes I forget about Alex Wallace, but he is a staple.
You are
He was
gradually getting louder.
He is one of the most supportive Chatterbox fans we have. This is my guy. I love you, Alex. I think we met him at Chatterbox Reds night. This
You
is
don't
great,
have to
Alex.
Scream. You don't have to scream, Alex.
Number 2. Oh wait. Number two, we have Roger. Roger is the very first person to comment in our chat every single day. This is the guy that we as Chatterbox fans love. Tom always comes in here and says, "Hey, everybody, you only got 1 people watching." It's always Roger. Roger's the only one who watches 15 minutes before the show starts.
That's my guy.
Shout out to Roger. And number one, here we go. Brian B. He was gone for 3 months. He's all the way back. I love you, Brian. Don't you forget it. Number 1.
He got so loud, Tom. He just started here and just started screaming. Tom, this show has without a doubt been the silliest show. I don't know if it was a good one. I don't think it was a good one, but it was silly as can be. It was just the silliest show.
To quote my good friend Brian Billick, I used to be somebody.
You did?
And now nothing more than the captain of Titanic 2.0.
Can you spell
We
it, Tom?
started this morning in the
Can we-
studio before we came on the air.
Casey,
And I
come on.
asked this trio, do not take that shot. Casey?
I had already
Did I
taken
just
it.
ask you not to take
I
that
already
shot?
took the shot before you told me not to take it, Tom. I had already took the shot before you already told me not to.
I forgot. Oh, I forgot AJ. I forgot you in the chat power ranks. I
Don't
love
do
you,
it.
AJ.
Don't do it.
I'm not going on that.
Don't do it, Casey.
Drew balls.
Can you spell Titanic, Tom?
Yeah.
Can-
I asked
can
you
you let me in
guys
on that joke?
about 10 minutes before the show.
talk about
I asked if you guys could spell Titanic.
What's the joke there? What's the joke there?
This is a sinking ship is the joke. And it's not a joke.
Everybody. So what do you guys think of the Bengals Chiefs game on Sunday? You got.
Elliot, what is happening? I thought you weren't drinking anymore when you came in before the show.
Sean Connor, how much does a Demote Elliott membership run?
Oh, 300, buddy. You got it. You wanted to vote me 300.
All right, we're shutting this down early. We're like TSA in Newark, New Jersey on the busiest travel weekend of the year, Thanksgiving. 4 o'clock on a Sunday, shut her down. Shut her down.
Oh, get it, please. If you're not a member of Box Lunch, you want to join for this show. Please.
As long as you guys don't sit next to each other.
Well, we might have to. Oh,
Okay. All right. Casey,
Yes,
Happy
Tom.
New Year.
Thank you, Tom. Happy New Year to
Absolutely,
you.
Elliot. I don't know what to say to you.
What has happened?
You completely
You're
derailed.
right there with him.
I
You're
was-
right there with him.
I was laughing at the absurdity.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Thank you. Well done. That's good reaction time, Casey. All right, everybody. We thank you so much for being with us. Box Lunch is coming up here in just a second. Want to wish everybody a wonderful final few days here in 2023. We hope and pray for better days ahead in 2024 for each and every one of you and each and every one of us out there today. Have a great weekend. Box Lunch. Here we go.
chat power rankings. Here we
Oh,
go.
boy.
I must admit, I didn't think much of this show the first time I laid eyes on it. Seemed like a bunch of stiffs wasting nice
The worst trade
microphones.
of all time happened back in 1803. Go ahead. Napoleon Bonaparte traded the Louisiana